Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Screen Scene Guru coming at you with a new video this week. I am doing a review on Witcher Season 4 on Netflix. I have completed the series. Big news announcement, guys. It has been renewed for a Season 5. So very interesting news coming out of Netflix. I'm sure this is probably due to the success of Stranger Things. And of course, the fact that Netflix wants to continue the Witcher franchise. I do know there's a comic book line coming out later this year in 2026 as well, titled The Witcher, The Last Wish. So that's really cool and exciting news. Going into the series review real quick, I've got IMDb pulled up. Going into episode 1, the season dropped on October 30th of 2025 together, all 8 episodes, and I've only recently caught up. Starting off with episode 1, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Geralt sets out to save Ciri from the claws of Imikar, unaware that her true fate, besieged by Vilgefortz. Yennefer attempts to uncover his plan. Some really awesome stuff here, guys. This sets up the events from Season 3, of course, with the attack on the school, Aretuza. We also get to see a big battle sequence in this season, which is really awesome. They really went with the VFX high up. This is the highest production of the show has had. I know a lot of people were kind of on the fence about Liam Hemsworth. I think he's a good actor. I like him. Going into episode 2, Dream of a Wish Fulfilled. Ciri gets a chance to prove herself during a robbery. Geralt gains an unlikely ally, as does Yennefer when she visits Moncanova to look for sanctuary. So really cool. We get to see the team building. We get to see Geralt kind of begrudgingly has this group of merry people he's traveling with. A few dwarves, a few humans trying to find their camp after it's been razed by the invading army. We got episode 3, Trial by Ordeal. A witch trials puts Geralt away from his quest. Ciri taps further into the darkness of her new life. Yennefer brings more recruits to her cause. So we see that Yennefer is gathering an army to go up against Vilgefortz. We did see earlier in the season the people of the villages of the lands of Witcher have been turned against the mages and the witches. So that's very interesting. A dark army has been rising. Then we've got episode 4, A Sermon of Survival. Yennefer's conviction starts to waver. Ciri opens up to Messala about her true identity. Geralt finds himself at the mercy of the Destrika, basically spirits of the water. So yeah, very interesting. I like the creature design for this season. It was really good. The lore was pretty cool. I haven't played the games, so I'm not very well versed in the lore. But I do like the idea of it. So going on to episode 4, we got episode 5. The joy of cooking, of course. Catching their breath before attempting a river crossing, Geralt and his party... Kitty. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, before their attempted river crossing, Geralt and his party regale each other with stories and songs, revealing a shocking truth. So we know that Lawrence Fishburne is traveling with them throughout the land. We find out that he's a vampire character, which is very interesting because I guess there were vampires in the land of Witcher hundreds of years ago. And then, of course, the humans stomped them out, kind of like the story of the elves. But very interesting to see Lawrence Fishburne introduced in Witcher as a vampire. I'd like to see a mini-series or a spin-off animated cartoon of him. I mean, we do get to see his backstory in the show. They talk about how he fell in love with a human girl, his vampire compatriots didn't approve, and of course they went after her, which led him to have a blood rage, and he essentially killed all of his friends. But I'd still like to see an animated cartoon of it. You know, there's a couple of Witcher cartoons I've yet to catch up on. So yeah, pretty cool stuff they've got going on Netflix. Going into the last couple of episodes, guys, we've got episode 6, Twilight of the Wolf. Out of options, Yennefer realizes her novices in a deadly battle against the army of Vilgefortz. A dangerous foe catches Ciri's scent. So we get to see Bonnard introduced, which he's an older Witcher who challenges other Witchers. Really awesome casting, of course. They got pull up real quick. The cast. So Starlioto Cooper. I'm hoping I'm saying his name right. Charlioto Cooper plays the new Witcher in, of course, season 4. If you guys saw it, pretty badass. There's also a Rats spin-off, I guess, which is taking place before season 4 as well, where you get to see Bonnard introduced, fighting the rats. I guess there was more of them. Let's see, episode 7. We've got What I Love, I Do Not Carry. So this is the riddle episode. A trek through treacherous swamp lands confronts Geralt with troubling visions. Imrihi discovers what he must do in order to claim absolute power. In episode 8, final episode, I believe it was an episode shorter than the seasons are typically, even though it was more expensive. Baptism of Fire. As the continent sinks deeper into war, Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri meet each other, their face on the road they took to avoid it. So very interesting stuff there. We do get to see a love sequence between Yennefer and Geralt, which I guess they had to reshoot because there was already one with Henry Cavill. So I am wondering if the actress that plays Yennefer got paid again for her performance or not. That was kind of interesting. And yeah, it ended on kind of a sad note. I mean, we got Bonnard, the new Witcher, taking on the rats. Of course, he decimated them, chopped all their heads off, which was really graphic. And Ciri was just kind of defeated and captured. So, not exactly sure where they're going to go with Season 5, because this season kind of didn't really set up a lot. But I am interested to continue the story. I'm a big fan of Witcher. Of course, I've got my little knight hat on, which I can bring down. Very cool. But really looking forward to Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. It recently premiered on HBO Max with the first episode coming out this previous Sunday. So really awesome stuff there, guys. If you have HBO Max, highly recommend you check it out. Real quick, I guess I'll cover notes in my other video, because I've already talked about Witcher for almost 9 minutes. But yeah, look forward to the comic book coming out. Real quick, I have been reading some comics. I just got done with X-Files Year Zero. This is the origin of the X-Files revealed. Now this might be what Ryan Coogler is planning to do for his X-Files TV series. That's why I went back to the comics, started reading them again. Really interesting stuff here, guys. Let me turn on the light real quick. Starting off in 1946, we get to see people of the FBI interviewing what we believe is a psychic medium. She has made contact with a entity, a being that is not human, which appears to be following her, harassing her, which led to her getting help from the FBI, of course, back in the 40s. It's very interesting stuff. Of course, it was different agents than Mulder and Scully. But of course, they hire this psychic medium to help them in investigations. She is brought in to solve a murder of a husband and wife. So that's very cool. They mention that. They also use her ability to essentially tell them what happened, how it was a Christmas party. The husband got jealous of the wife looking at other people at the party, and then after he struck her with a bottle. It's a very interesting stuff there, very much like Stranger Things, and it's just a show, a sign that the government has been working with psychic individuals for decades to uncover these crimes. So we get to see the agents were celebrating New Year's with the IP psychic individual. They didn't want to leave her alone for the holiday, and they claimed that they didn't have family in town to celebrate with. We get to see the mysterious man that made a deal with our psychic, or reappears, tries to attempt to take her from her home, which leads the FBI to chase them, pursue them. Very interesting stuff. And then of course we see, once they're outside, the house does explode, and then we jump into the future, which is very interesting, modern day, and we get to see Agent Mulder and Scully, which is really cool. Egg Harbor City, New Jersey, and they talk about how this man is wanted for a murder, this older individual, but then he claims he's been looking for this guy's mother, who is the psychic. She didn't die in that house fire. She actually escaped, trying to run. So that's pretty cool. We get to see, Mulder and Scully are very on the fence about believing his story, his high claim, and the fact that he's from the 40s, he's still alive, is very interesting. Appears to have a longer extended life. Then we get to see Mulder and Scully catching up a bit more. It goes to a diner, which is a lot of locations they show off in X-Files. Of course, the diner ladies are talking about customers coming in that are sketchy. And we did find out that this boy, he has the same abilities as his mother. A bit different though. Mulder calls it animal psychopatry. Basically, it's the understanding of how emotions work with animals. So, of course, this guy was, I believe he's an animal, like, rescue, or he's like a, gosh, I'm not sure what you call it. Basically, a person that takes in dogs, and other animals if they're hurt, like a vet, kind of, or animal rescue. He does get psychic premonitions of what the dog's been through the battles. And then, of course, he tries to pull out his phone, call the cops, and then hunters appear to capture him. So there's some dark things happening in the woods, of course. I'm a big fan of the comics. Didn't really care for the season that they revived for X-Files. This latest season came out, I believe, in 2018. But checking out some of the comics, they look really good. Like, right here in the back, I can show you guys. They have Volume 10, which was their 10th season, all completely comic book. You can get the omnibus and the individuals. But I just thought this was really cool to check out. This was, of course, Year Zero, and it is the origins of the X-Files revealed. And I do believe that this is going to be the inspiration behind Ryancoogler's new series. I'm hoping it's going to be very much like Lovecraft Country. That could be very cool. I was a big fan of that show before, of course, the rumors and the allegations came out. But yeah, really cool stuff going on. I'll probably have another video coming out soon, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Till then, have a good one. Bye-bye. Stay safe. Catch you next time.